So the point of Tuesday's winner circle call is just to sharpen the mindset. I try not to focus on the sales tactics, on the marketing, and all that stuff. Naturally, we will reference Easy Pay, obviously with what we do, but this isn't about sales skills or closing abilities or the opportunity necessarily. It's about sharpening the mindset. Successful people and winners everywhere in the world throughout all the time in history have very similar thought processes. And that's what Tuesday's winner circle call is about. It's just going over success principles and things that winners do. All right, so let's get right into goals. Goals has always been one of my favorite topics. And because I love maps and travel, I'm all about referencing goals as a roadmap. And we've all heard this before. If you've heard me talk about goals, there's certain things in life that we just wouldn't do. Okay, one of them is, would you get on an airplane that had no set destination? We're just getting in this airplane. We're going to fly at whatever altitude that we decide that we're going to fly at. No communication. We don't know where we're going, but hop on in. All right, that's not how it works, and I wouldn't be getting on that plane. Same thing with a cruise ship. Do we just get on a boat and sail out into the ocean and say we'll just figure this out? No, if you've ever been on a cruise, you know that you have an itinerary and you know exactly what you're in for. You know where you are going before you step foot onto the boat or onto the airplane. Yet we have people that go out there and think that they're going to build a successful business or even a successful life for that matter without having goals. And people that are into goals, if you read any self-help books, how to build a business, how to be a good manager, how to be a leader and a good example, how to be a good parent, any of these books, one of the first rules is taking responsibility. And then the next one is you got to have goals. You got to know what you're doing, where you're going, and what your aim is. So just think about this as we're on this call. Again, I'm going to keep these real short. I'm not trying to make it a seminar. But I want you to think about it. What is it exactly that you want to accomplish? That could be with Easy Pay. That could be in your personal life. Maybe you want to become a better father, a better mother. Maybe you want to get physically fit. Maybe you want to hit leadership with Easy Pay. You want to hit sales director. There's a lot of things out there, and you need to really narrow down and think about what are those things. What do you want to accomplish? Because we're Easy Pay, we're all about residual income. If you haven't put any thought into this, and I see a lot of new names on this list, so this is a great meeting for you to just get right into the habit of having goals. But have you thought about how much cash flow, how much residual income is the magic number where you would no longer have to worry about going to work? I don't care if you're still in college and you're 21 years old, or if you're 65 years old and Easy Pay, you're looking for this to be your retirement nest egg, whatever your age is, what is that magic number of residual income that would mean complete freedom? Meaning the vacations, the car that you want, the school that you want your kid in, all your bills paid, plus some going into investments. What is that magic number for you? You need to know it if you're going to build this business. Outside of the business, who do you want to be? And I was listening to a great book on this road trip I just took, The Ultimate Measure. If you want to get deeper and you want to think a lot more long-term, this is kind of the ultimate goal, right? After listening to this book, it's why I put this in. What do you want people to remember you by? So that kind of brings me to my next point here. Harry, thanks for jumping on, as always. Appreciate it. Kind of brings me to my next point. That was a great example. He has a goal to go from a sales partner to a sales director. That's a lot of distance in between. That's actually a great example, Harry, of leading me into the next thing, where right now Harry's in Seattle, and he needs to get all the way to Florida. Well, there's a lot in between the two, and he needs to know what he's doing, and he needs to know where he's going, where he's going to stop, how is he going to fuel up, what's going to, he checks his gauges and the whole nine, aka action plans. right? So knowing your destination is one thing, but it doesn't really mean anything, right? I want to be remembered as a loving parent. I want to be remembered as someone who went out of his way to help people. I want to create $20,000 in residual income. All goals. They should have deadlines on them, right? Deadlines, knowing what you want, all goals. But the goals don't actually do anything. Okay? It's the action plans. It's the small actions taken on a very consistent basis that lead you in the direction of your destination that actually make the rubber meet the road. It's all about the action plans. They are your flight path. What's the altitude that we're going to fly at? There's 2 other planes in the air at coming up in the next 5 minutes. We all need to make sure that we're on the right elevation so we don't crash into each other. Or you're driving a Tesla. Okay, you might want to look at a map and map out where all the Tesla charge stations are. You're about to drive from Seattle to Florida, so you probably need an idea of your action plans, where you're going to stop, where you're going to recharge, where you're going to refuel. All those things are the action plan. It's what the cruise ship uses to navigate. I just got off a cruise. I went from Miami. The first stop was Jamaica. Did we just leave the port of Miami and cut across the middle of Cuba and to make it to Jamaica? No. They have the map, and then they have their action plans. They're going to go this direction at this latitude, longitude. We're going to go this direction. We're going to go around the Dominican. We're going to do this and that, all to pull into port in Jamaica at this time, right? They have action plans in place, navigating them to the goal, to the destination. So if you think about, I used to use the Garmin GPSs. Nowadays, everything's just Google on your smartphone. But does anyone here know how a GPS actually works? So something else I got out of a book. Most of this stuff's out of books. None of it's new. None of these success principles are new or created. So a GPS actually works from the destination that you're going to backwards to where you are. It doesn't start with, I'm in Seattle, I'm going to Miami. It actually starts in Miami and works its way backwards to the destination. And when you're writing your goals out, immediately followed up by writing out your action plans, it's the same thing. Don't just start with where you're at now. You have to start with where you want to be and move backwards. If your goal is to be, you're 230 pounds, you want to get to 200 pounds in the next 6 months. Well, don't start at I'm 230 pounds. You start at my goal is to get to 200. You could literally, from there, if you knew your deadline and how much you wanted to lose, you could actually work backwards if you had a professional to show you how to do this, or Google it. But you could you could go backwards and figure out exactly how many calories you're allowed to intake per day, how many calories you need to burn. It needs to be consistent for 7 days a week for exactly 6 months, and your weight loss will equal 200 pounds on this date if you follow this exact calorie count. Okay? You went backwards. If you want to be like Harry and you want to be a sales director within 12 months with an easy pay, then you need to start backwards from being a sales director. From a sales director, what kind of team do I need to have? In order to build 2 assistant managers, how do I focus on just getting 1? Before I can get to an assistant manager, how do I help leaders get good at running meetings and get good at recruiting so that the few people that they're managing actually produce? And then from there, if you're not even a leader, your action plans right now are on becoming a leader. So even though the goal for Harry is to become a sales director, right now his action plans, because he started at the destination and moved backwards like a GPS, Harry knows I need to accomplish step 1, which is $2,000 2 weeks in a row, or 20 deals in 2 months. Now he needs to set his action plans for that goal. We do know what the ultimate destination is, but our action plans break it down into daily things that we need to do to inch us to the next rest stop, to inch us to the next benchmark, to inch us towards the destination. You need to reverse engineer your goals. I just gave you an example of that. All right, so before we had a map. It was just a plain map, and all we needed to do was know what our destination is. Well, now here's what our map looks like when you add action plans. So the goal was, I'm in Seattle, I want to go to Miami. The goal is, I'm a sales partner, I want to be a sales director, right? There's a big distance there. Now your map starts coming into play. Now you have a plan. Now you have a route. You probably know where you're going to stop for the night in a motel or at a Tesla station or whatever it is. You're going to have some sort of a game plan here. And before I move on again, let me get into the chat box. The last thing I want to go over is habits. Habits are the glue to the whole thing. They are what keep it together. They're what make you keep going when you don't feel like it, when you want to quit. And on a rainy day, you keep persisting. This is one of my favorite quotes. It is so true, and it can impact your life to a whole nother level. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act, but a habit. We are what we repeatedly do. So that means who we are today is a reflection of our previous habits. Habits take a long time. Who we became today took a long time. We didn't become it overnight. So who you are tonight, watching this webinar, watching the winner circle, is simply a reflection of all your past habits of your whole life, coming together, creating you who you are today. So the question is, do you want to continue to be who you are today? If you do, keep doing the same habits, keep doing the same daily routines. Keep taking the same action you've always taken that's gotten you to where you are now. If you want to become somebody else, then you need to find out somebody that's already done what you want, reverse engineer it like a GPS, and find out what are the daily action steps, what are the habits that this person who is who I want to be or similar to it, how does he operate? What are his action plans? What is his mindset? What success principles is he applying? And will he teach me that? And can I duplicate it? If you take someone that has what you want and you copy their routine down to the T and you make their action plans your habits, over time, you will become that person that you duplicated. You will become the person you wanted to be, as long as you're taking the action steps and create strong habits that somebody that is that person already also takes. It's that simple, okay? You need to know exactly what you want. You need to reverse engineer it. You need to figure out the small, daily, repetitive steps that you must take every day. Whether it's rainy, whether it's sunny, whether you feel like it or not. If you were driving from Seattle to Miami in a normal car, you don't stop for gas when you feel like it. When the gas gauge says you have 20 miles until you're done and you're out of gas, you can't say, well, I don't feel like pulling over. I'm going to do it in 50 miles. No, your car is going to stop working. You can't do that, right? Habits are non-negotiable. When you have healthy success habits that you know are the right action steps to push you towards your goals, you need to make these habits. They need to become non-negotiable. They need to become second nature to the point where you don't think about it anymore. They're just habits. And the bottom line is that good habits take the same amount of time as bad habits. For 8 hours and go slow and talk to 15 people, or you can go out for 8 hours and talk to 30 people. It's the same amount of time. One of them, you have a bad habit of talking to people that aren't targets, and one of them, you have a good habit of keeping the pace up, moving if they're not a target, and moving on. Okay, we could go on and on. So the good news is you don't need to discover success habits. All right, this stuff's in books. None of this is new. You're never going to hear me talk about a success habit that just dawned on me. Okay, this is all in books, it's all in seminars, it's all on YouTube, and it's all about getting out there and just making successful habits embedded in you to the point where you just wake up and they're there. Like when I wake up, I'm not going to turn the camera on. When I wake up, I've got a tri-stand here with a big notepad on it, and it's got 10 to 15 goals on it at all times, typically weekly goals. And then you go into the restroom, and above the bathroom sink, there's another list of a bunch more goals, bigger goals, long-term, like yearly goals type stuff. And there's just goals. And you wake up in the morning, and it should be a habit to look at your goals. Get your motivation. Put the fuel in the tank. All right, now I've refreshed my memory on where I'm going. I've refueled my tank. Now, let's apply the action steps because they're habits. You do that 5-6 days a week towards this business, towards weight loss, towards being a better parent, towards being a better coach, towards being the best at whatever it is that you want to be the best at. You must have goals, know where you're going. You must have the proper action steps, and you must make those action steps habits to the point where you don't think about them anymore. So let's go over some successful habits. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not perfect, okay? These are just success habits. I'm just throwing them out there, and there's a flip side to each one of these, right? Being on a good diet, eating well, exercise, and the flip side to that is eating pizza and never even getting out of the chair and going for a walk, right? Successful people typically eat well and typically have some sort of a workout regimen. You go look at the top CEOs around the world at the biggest Fortune 500 companies in the world. I guarantee you every single CEO on that list has some sort of workout regimen, probably before most of us are even awake. Okay? Sleep. I'm like Donald Trump. I can go on 3 hours of sleep. My excitement and my goals keep me going. But some people, it makes a much bigger impact than others. I probably should get an extra 2 hours of sleep, but whatever. I don't follow all the rules. Reading. This can be audiobooks. I'm not a reader. I'm an audio guy, but I absolutely am obsessed with learning. I love learning the next thing or going back and re-listening to books. Most of my books are on success principles, money, leadership, things like that. But leaders are readers, right? There's a phrase called leaders are readers. People that aren't readers, people that don't go out there and learn, they kind of already know everything, right? You can't really help them. Their favorite words, I know that. The most dangerous 3 words you can have. Success habits, committing. Actually committing to things and completing them to its finish. Being on time. This is a huge success principle. Being on time is critical. I'm not even going to harp on that one too much, but being on time is a pretty respectful thing in my personal opinion. Professional image, right? Pretty important habit. Are you only shaving and cleaning up for the special occasions? Or are you always looking professional? Are you always ready to go? When you go to the grocery store, do you know that you might run into a potential business relationship? Do you want to be in your sweatpants unshaven, or do you want to be, professional image? So just a simple habit there. Confidence. Successful people are definitely confident. They know how to make decisions. They don't sit on something for too long. They're confident enough to gather the correct data and make an educated decision based on the data they have. They don't take forever. They're open to learning, goes hand in hand with the reading. And winners associate with winners. My dad used to say, if it walks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Okay, there's a reason why the winners hang out with winners. It's because they propel each other. They have similar success habits that they apply, and they boost each other up. So here you go. You've got goals right here, right? Now we need to set the destination. Once we have the destination, we need to reverse engineer it. We need to set up our action steps. Well, that looks pretty easy right there. Since we're talking about easy pay, and Harry gave us the example of becoming a sales partner, Harry, that's what you're thinking in your head is your goals and action plan to becoming a sales partner. In all reality, it's going to be something like that, buddy. All right. Successful people know life throws curveballs. Things happen. Plans change. Money changes. Death in the family. New laws. New taxes. New president. I got to move. Something happened. I got to get out of my place. Things happen, okay? Successful people know it doesn't always go as planned, but they have the action steps in place. They are completely determined, and their habits are so ingrained that no matter what happens, no matter what life throws at them, no matter what their business throws at them, they don't stop. They just keep going. They keep applying the action steps, maybe adjust them where needed, but the destination doesn't stop. It's still Seattle to Miami, and they just understand that they have to continue taking those action steps, reinforcing that habit, keep going, and keep going until you one day reach your ultimate goal, whatever that is.